Nice shot! Oh, where the hell did you lot come from?
We heard your distress call.
I'm almost out! Fall back!
Our roads converge again. Marcus Phoenix.
Tai. What a nightmare.
Untouched by nearly 80 years of war. Destroyed in 2 nights.
The medic is a mid-range revive specialist. Focus on keeping your squad on their feet while under fire. The stim vaporizer revives any gear, even from other squads, within range.
It gets bigger and more brutal.
Focuses on precision damage, especially useful with Horde Siege's longer sightlines, while the Pulse Drone attacks Locust units for you and your squad.
Yo, what is up, guys? It's your boy Skull and Bones 2 here, and in today's Gears of War E-Day lore video, we're going to be discussing the squad of Tai Kaliso. So if you guys didn't know, Tai is an integral part to the story of Gears of War, specifically more important now in Gears of War E-Day. Compared to other novelizations, comic book appearances for the character, and previous games, in E-Day, he is now center screen with his own squad. Now, I'm going to explain the reasoning behind this and the members of his squad. We have Mako, Shin, Tai Kaliso himself, and a new sniper that looks a little bit like Mako in full uniform called Manu. So, these guys represent the Pahanu Bayonets. They are a team of South Islander gears that are specifically tailored to the fighters that belong to the islands that are still under the coalition of ordered governments. Now, South Islanders and the COG have somewhat of a history, and it's not really a good one. I don't know why, but the COG really has this like prejudice around Islanders for some reason. I like to think of South Islanders as the Red Tails from World War II, the Black African pilots, or the Tuskegee Airmen, like their own special faction within the United States military. And likewise for the COG, they have their own version of that with the Pahanu Bayonets. So if you were an Islander or somebody that was not from the mainland of Tyrus. So without further ado, let's dive into the lore of the Islanders. This actually begins a little bit earlier on within the Pendulum Wars and actually starts with Victor Hoffman. During the war in the Gears of War universe, the people of the South Islands included Pahanu and the Walihan Islands faced cultural prejudice, systemic oversight, and marginalization by the coalition of ordered governments. The COG had a severe misunderstanding of the culture and the stereotypes that they would place on South Islanders. Tribal traditions that were deep-rooted in spiritual traditions and also seen as rites of passage, such as the Awakening facing the apex megafauna Wakatu, caused mainland citizens of Serra to often view these as insular warrior-based tribal cultures as primitive or savage. Because Pahanu was so far from the mainland, citizens that lived on the mainland of Tyrus often thought that the culture was savage and distant, and so it didn't belong in a functioning society, and they didn't contribute to much of Serra anyways, so they were looked down upon just because they lived so far away and lived a lifestyle so different to those of the normal COG society. As racist as that may seem, the COG still needed fighters for their war and viewed the South Islanders as disposable muscle. Like other outer island cultures, such as the Pasanga, who were routinely denied military honors like Embry Stars by mainland leadership, South Islanders were often conscripted or utilized as frontline muscle for the COG military during the Pendulum Wars and Locust War without receiving equal political respect or recognition from Ifira's elite. Strategic abandonment. The COG routinely treated remote islands as experimental or tactical zones. Simply put, the coalition of ordered governments didn't have enough respect for the South Islands and treated that as such. they really just treated it as like a landfill or a nuclear waste site where they would build these hazardous sites and dispose whatever, not giving any regard to the ecosystem or the inhabitants that live there. Now, circling back to Tai's squad, we know that his soldiers evidently have a special trait about each one. Tai, he's a spiritual warrior, he's a leader. Then we have Mako, who's kind of like this new blood, but is also very eager and not afraid of the fight. We have the sniper, Manu, who, funnily enough, his name in Samoan translates to bird. So being a sniper, he is the eye of the team. He'll watch you from a distance. He's your eye in the sky. He's making sure everything is safe for him and his team. I love that. And we have the combat medic, Shin. Funnily enough, even though he doesn't look that South Islander-ish, his name does translate to the spine of the leg. And given that he's a combat medic, it probably means that he's consistently trying to keep everybody on their feet, keep them alive, keep his team alive. And when you have that low morale or you don't think you can get back up, he's going to be there to pick you back up and make sure you can get back into the fight. I feel like that fits perfectly with, you know, the role that he's playing on this team. The whole point of trying to be healthy and keep everybody up. Now, the next thing I do want to talk about is Tai Kaliso. A little bit of background. Tai Kaliso was involved in the Pendulum Wars when the UIR invaded his home, the South Islands, and basically killed his entire family. With nothing left to lose, he went on a rage-filled killing spree and inadvertently ran into Marcus, who somehow convinced him to join the coalition of world governments and their cause to win the war. And he became a huge asset to the COG and took part in many important operations such as Operation Leveler, and he was basically on Marcus's squad almost all the time in the books and comics, but for whatever reason they changed that, and now he's his own man and has his own team, which I love so much for Tai. Now, the next person I want to talk about is Bai Tak. He was Colonel Hoffman's best friend and the catalyst to basically all of the South Islanders somewhat gaining respect. Well, basically he helped gain their respect by serving with Colonel Hoffman and Colonel Hoffman seeing the injustices and the mistreatment that the South Islanders got. You know, the South Islanders contributed a lot to the coalition of border governments and didn't get the praise that they deserved. Bai Tak was a commando who basically saved Dominic Santiago, by the way. But in the lore, Sergeant Bai Tak was one of the first few commandos from Pasong who fought in the Pendulum Wars and died saving Dominic Santiago during the Battle of Asfo Fields. He is the grandfather of Jasi Tak from Gears 5. But more specifically, he was a very important role in the Pendulum Wars because he was a Pasonga volunteer and COG commando. Victor Hoffman chose the Pasongans to fight because he noticed how sneakily and covert that they were in the combat that they performed and did, and that gave him the idea to make the commandos. They learned their combat from the South Islanders, unironically. Now, Bai Tak sacrifices himself towards the end of Operation Leveler and tells Dom, get your ass in, you've got babies to worry about, and sacrifices himself because during the Marlin extract, I believe they almost got swept away from the waves when they were pulling away, and they didn't have enough time to stop to let people, you know, get on and stuff, and he kind of just sacrificed himself and guaranteed Dom that ride home because he didn't have any kids waiting for him, just a wife. And Sergeant Bai Tak was a Pasonga volunteer and a gear commando in the COG. He fought in the Pendulum Wars, took part in the Siege of Anvil Gate. He was also there for the raid of Gralia and Operation Leveler, which was his deathbed. Bai Tak and other Pasongan soldiers were not able to get the Embry Star due to the coalition of border governments, like I said before, having some like really weird systematic xenophobia regarding people that just weren't from Tyrus. They were just looked down upon. And Hoffman really didn't like that. It pissed him off to the fact that when the funeral came for everybody that had passed away after the war had ended, he actually buried his Embry Star with Bai Tak and sent a big-ass check of money that he normally would have received from serving and stuff to Bai Tak's family. And the South Islands are very underdeveloped and like a poor country, I guess, underdeveloped country, and so he gave money to make sure that Bai Tak's family was taken care of because it just wasn't fair how they were treated. Now, regarding Tai's team, his squad specifically is called the Pahanu Bayonets. So it's nice to see now that South Islanders don't have ragtag groups, or they're given the worst equipment, or now they don't really have any designation. They're given their own name now. And I love that, how the representation shows that the COG is willing to change, which is good. I don't know why, they were so, no other way to put it is like racist. I don't understand why. More than anything, I think humanity needed to come together towards the Locust War to like fight one common enemy and throw all of the prejudice out the window and to the side. And like I said, it's great to see that. But we've got Shin, Manu, Mako, and Tai Kaliso leading the way for the Pahanu Bayonets in Gears of War Ide. This is their squad. We have a combat medic, a sniper, a heavy, and Tai Kaliso, who is the all-around infantry soldier and leader. But it just gives some insight into their team, their humble beginnings as South Islanders, and the South Islanders' place in their coalition of ordered governments. We know South Islanders love to embrace the culture alongside combat, as that's just their way of life. You can tell that by Mako taking the shark teeth and putting that on his helmet, as that's a predatory animal. And their culture revolves around hunting animals as a rite of passage, dangerous animals at that, the apex predators of their islands. So probably Mako's, rite of passage was hunting and killing a shark near the islands. And for Manu, it would have been killing the wakatu, which is that crazy bird. So you got to give them some credit, man. These islanders are no joke. Killing those animals to be able to step up as an adult in their respective villages and their places where they grew up and raised reflects that on the battlefield. So I can't wait to see what these guys do, how they handle them in Gears of War Ide. Like I said, I think it's kind of funny how Shin was thrown on there. Again, we don't know if Shin is not a South Islander himself, but from what I've seen, he doesn't really look like he fits the part and looks South Islander-ish. So we'll have to see how his interactions are with the team. And I can't wait to see how the squad functions, if it's going to be, a favorite team of mine besides Bravo. One reason why I really like Manu a little bit more over Mako is the fact that the South Islands produces crazy snipers. Like, the two best snipers out of the entire coalition of ordered governments would have been Patrick Sultan and Bernadette Mataki. Now, there was another character called Boz, and Boz was the partner to Patrick Sultan. They were the sniper company 3-0. Patrick Sultan had a spotter, and that spotter's name was Boz. He was the one that was basically feeding Patrick Sultan all of his information on missions. But basically, these three made up like the entire best sniper shots out of the entire coalition of ordered governments. Like, if you wanted somebody dead, they were the people you would call. Excellent trackers, hunters. And I do believe we'll see them in Gears of War Ide. I do believe that we have a high chance to get a lot of these like characters from the Pendulum Wars and early Locust Era War days that we didn't get a chance to see in the later games. So I can't wait to see them come to Gears of War Ide, get fleshed out lore. And also, like I said, I made tons of videos before saying we are probably going to get a Pendulum Wars flashback. And when that happens, we're going to get a ton of weapons from the Pendulum Wars. We're going to get a bunch of characters from the Pendulum Wars. I cannot wait. Time will only tell, though, if Manu can really hold his own and claim and keep that title as the best sniper. Because, like I said, that's what the South Islanders are usually known for. They got a lot of great soldiers that do a lot of things, but they specifically are known for using ranged weapons. And I can't wait to see what he's got cooking up in that lab for campaign, man. And just his character. I want to see how he is, how he talks, all of that. But this is your boy Skull and Bones 212. I will catch you guys in the next one. Hope you enjoyed. If there's any lore videos you want me to do, comment down below and I'll see which ones are interesting. If you guys would like a video regarding the new Locust Big Bad Vrock, I can delve a little bit deeper into that, see what I can find, if it is a highly requested video from you guys. But if there's anything else you'd like for me to cover, comment it down below and we'll kind of do like a little raffle and see what I pick. But other than that, have a good one, guys. I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.